Whenever you are not here and you are given a video, you try and meet up for the next class so that you will not be left behind. So let me just glance through the slide. If you look at we just a brief recap because of Mr. Benjamin before we Emmanuel. We assume that in our previous class, before that last week class, we are through with data cleaning, right? Techniques. Then we started email analysis. I told him that analysis in Python is divided into three aspects. We have selection analysis, we have aggregation analysis, and then we have graphical analysis. So we started with the first arm. After this, we go into the analysis using the aggregate functions like sum and the rest of the counts and average. For this set of analysis, it falls under filter. Remember the concept of filter when we were in the cell, where we were selecting value based on what? Specified what? Criteria. So that is what this set of analysis fall into. So we started with concatenation. Concatenation, I told him that concatenation is where you are given two different data sets and you are asked to join them together to form another one which is more suitable for your analysis. So you are actually concatenating for a purpose. You cannot just wake up and say you are joining what? Two different data sets together. You must have seen the reason as what you want to analyze involve the combination of what? The two different data sets. So if that is the case, this is the formula you use. We use the function called what? Concat. And that function is in a library called what? Pandas. That is why you can see the syntax written as pd.what? Concat, which means that is the library that is providing us what? This concatenation function. So I now show him this data set just to have a picture of two different data sets that could be what? Concatenated. Then I show him here, this is where both of them have been what? Concatenated. So there are some principles that you need to operate on when you are concatenating. If you look at these two different data sets, they have the same number of what? Record, right? If you have data set A with 20 record and data set B with 10 record, if you concatenate it based on the rule, that means the number of record will not match, right? And there's something that I explained. So there's something that I explained. Let me just illustrate it again. So I told him that these two data sets can be joined like this. Then you can place the second one by the side of what? The first one. There is another option of placing the second one immediately what? After the first one is under it. So when you concatenate data sets that have different number of records, when you join them like this, there will be what? NaN generated, a lot of them. You know why? Because the record does not match. So it will automatically create what? Empty what? Spaces. And as we all know from our data cleaning section, an empty cell in Python will be represented as what? Not a number, NaN, right? But when you join this data like this, you will not have NaN.
Because what it means is that this one will continue here. This second one will go under. So all of them will have what? Their value are registered. Am I communicating? Okay. So now, what will you locate? Okay. Hope you are not going to where you will sleep and nobody will see you. Okay, so that when you are going through that video, it will be difficult as I'm doing this recapping now because we have explained all this. So now this is where we join them together. And then here, this is where we concatenate based on column. You can see what I'm talking about now. We place them side. Sorry, I think I skipped one. Let me see. Good. This is where we concatenated based on row, based on row. So that based on row is when you are placing the second data directly by the side of what? The first data. And the criteria is this axis equals to 1. So when you add that axis equals to 1, it will concatenate your data on the same row. That's what? Horizontally. Then look at this one here. Know what? Axis definition. If you look at the syntax, here. If you look at the syntax here, no axis. That is the one that will give us that vertical what? Concatenation that will generate NaN. And you can see a lot of NaN here generated. So this is it also. So keep checking. So I think this is where we are now. Have we done this one? Please, let's check. What we did was what? Sorting of data sets. Let me check. No, now we have done data set now. No, that means if we did sorting, look at the order of the slide. I have data addition before what? Data sorting. So how come we did not do it? So let me just quickly start from there if we are sure that. So this is actually another method, which means the same thing with what? Concatenation. But here you are using a different function. You are using a different function. You are using what? Data frame. And you are using what? Join. Hello? Are you with me? Please, we should not, we have, let's be focused, please. Now, what I'm saying is this. If I don't want to use concat to join two different data sets together, I can also use what? Join with the help of what? Data frame. But the syntax are not the same. Do you agree with me? The syntax of this one seems easier for me because it has no axis equals to 1. All you need is just to define your variable. So let me start with this. So let me go back to, please pay attention. I will allow us to work so that we can get it. Pay attention. Once I'm done with mine, I will allow you to do your own. So what we are doing is what? This is data what? Addition, right? Data addition. Using which method? Using dots, using data frame, dot join function. So what is the task? I think we have head data here. Let me just call it out because I like relating them to live scenario. But we have head. Is it healthcare or heads? I know we have one data. It's not here. Let me check the name I use here. Which one is this one? This is the head, Abby. Okay, so I know this is sub head, right? You know, we have the main head. We use dot head, Abby, to call out. I think this should be the main data. Wait. I want to guess. This is the head data set. Where is the head itself? Because here is the subset where we use head to pick out what? The first 40, right? So I expect that we should have the head itself somewhere. Okay, so let me just work with what I have here. So let's assume that I'm working with this data set. So let me bring it here so that I can apply it to show us this data addition. Please pay attention to what we are doing here. So from this head, from this subset, let's pay attention. From this subset, I want to call out doctor column and what? H as 1, right? I will call out maybe blood type and billing amount as what? Another 1. I don't like it when people are sleeping in my class. Please, let's see if there's any way you can wash your face. Now, I want to call out what? Billing amount and what? Blood type as another what? Data set. Then I will now use the join method to join them together, just like we did for concatenation, right? So if you can still remember the first method, let's go on here. So here, so let's say so here, let's say what? The A1. The A1, remember the format we use. I will do what? 2 selection, right? I will now call what? The headers I want to assemble. Age is the first one, right? I will use what? Comma, string again. The next one I want to call is what? The doctor, right? Doctor, then I'll run it. So this is 1 data set. This is 1. And then we give it a rename. This is 1. Now, this is 1 data set. Then the next one is the A1, the A2. From the A2, okay, what I'm doing now is like I already have this name used. Have you? Because I am supposed to be putting what? Subnet, that from sub data, they call out this. So if it's bringing out value, it means we have done something like this before. So please pay attention. This is what I'm saying now. From here, Control C, that is, let me do it again here. From this data, select what? Age. And what again? Doctor. We run it. Good. Now I want to store it in a valid variable so that I can call it. So I will say what? D1 is equal to what? This. Now I want to call out D2 now. D2 equals to from subset, call out what? Which one did I say I want to call out? Call out from subset. Is it here? From that subset data, call out blood type, right? Blood type. Control C and what? Billing amounts. Okay, so let me go down. Let me put it here. The comma. So from this, call out what? Billing amount. I want to be sure of what I'm doing by copying it because we just have a typographical error. So Control C. And then I was. So from here, I will type what? D2. So now I have 2 different data sets that I want to join, right? So in the place of combine 1 and what? Combine 2. So what is the syntax again? What is the syntax? Let's take note of it. Okay, just to help our ministry fast, because I really want us to see if we can go for a little. So let me just paste it here. Now, here. So therefore, use comments. Whatever I am writing in the cell is what you should be writing in your note while you're observing. Therefore, join, because we are using join function, join D1 and what? D2, right? Good. Using dot join function. Using dot what? Join function. All right. So I would say, this is a new data frame that you're going to get when you join two other together. So I would say what? Maybe new underscore data is equals to the data frame. Remember that the D must be what? Capital letter. Then the F must also be what? Capital letter. Then dot join. Open the brackets. Then call the first one D1, comma what? D2. Then you run it, accepted. To view your results, you simply type what? New underscore what? Data, new underscore data. That is it. So we have joined them together. We do not use concat now. This is another method, just like an alternative to concat. So any syntax that is easier for you. So if you have written, quickly apply now. Oh yeah. So call out two different data sets, then do the same thing like I did now. We are sleeping that. I understand.
This man shit will be
not easy. All right, so let's go back to our slide. So let's quickly. So, guys, you said we have done sorting, have we? Okay, so let me just jump to. This is data sorting. So you get that from the video. We've done all these ones. I don't want to waste my time. What about this? Live. That's what I was asking now. Which topic? So, but I said we'll continue from here, have we? Or I have treated it.
yeah.
Okay, so right. Data analysis with log and ilog functions. Data analysis with log and ilog function. Data analysis with log and ilog function. With log and what? Ilog function. So we can also select columns by using the log and the ilog methods. So this is actually another way. You remember that all this while we have been selecting data based on technicality or using syntax. But under this function, we are using known Python function to select what? Data. So that is why it still falls under what? Data selection. So let's quickly differentiate them. let's look at the difference between lock and what? iLock by having their individual definition. So lock is a label-based approach. That is where you select your data based on the header. Based on the header's name. That's the meaning. When you say label-based. For example, now look up. Like this data now, this value now, if I want to select all this value, I will use their label, which is what? H. That is what we are saying there. The lock is what? Where you use the name of the column to call what? The values under it. So that allows selection of rows and columns by taking in the labels, e.g., row and column names. So very simple to understand.
Well, the label-based approach.
Yeah. That allow the selection of rows. That allow the selection of rows and columns. That allow the selection of rows and columns by taking in the labels, that is the row and column names, by taking in the label, that is the rows and the column name. So that is what? Lock. Then iLock is an integer-based approach that allows selection of rows and columns by specifying the numerical index numbers. By specifying the numerical index numbers. By specifying the numerical index numbers. Specify the numerical index number. So I would like to switch to the data and also show us what this concept is all about. Now look up. You know, I believe when we started, what we call indexing, where you have values in an array. For example, in programming, we have age here, we have doctor, we have lot type, we have billing amount, right? If you want to know the numerical positioning or the index representation of age is at 0 in programming. While doctor is what? 1. While this one is what? 2. Then here is what? 3. The first one is always what? 0 in programming. So when you are saying that it is an integer base that allows selection of rows and columns by what? The numerical index number. So which means that if I want to use this concept to select doctor from this data set, what will be the index value? 1. If I want to use the index number to select billing amount from this data set, what will be the number? If here is 0, 1, 2, 3. Now, let me go back to the slide and show us the example. So this syntax here, this one here, do you know what it's going to do? It's going to select all from 0. Now, are you with me? So example, select the first row and all the words, the column, because this column that you are seeing here means that is what separates the starting selection and the ending selection. So since you don't have anything like after this column, since you don't have anything like 2, it means that what? You are saying that what? You only define the starting position and you say that from the starting to the what? To the end. Exactly. So this is where I explained it fully. This is the lock now. You can see you are picking, we are selecting city. So take down the syntax. The syntax matter. You make this pros is the data set name. So write this, write example of log method. Then you copy this syntax the way I labeled it before we proceed.
We are not done with the numerical index number. Because
If once you want me to move, let me know. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Can I move to the next one?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let's quickly look at the application. So remember that we are relating them in real life scenarios. So we have this data, which is the one we combine, new data, right? So from here, we want to use the lock to call out what? Billing amounts. So the tax is data selection, right? data selection. I said you should be writing this in your note. Data selection using log method in Python. Using log method in Python. Using log method in Python. So what tags are we given here from the new underscore data select from the new underscore data select only what? Billing what? Billing what? Billing amounts. Billing amounts. So we're using log. So what is the syntax? The name of the data set is what? New underscore data, right? Dot log. From log, select, right? Then remember that this is what? Is a syntax, which must be followed before you call. The header is a string. That's why we are quoting it, right? So let me copy it so that it will be easier for me. Ctrl+C, Ctrl+V. And then I run it. So you can see that with log, I can actually what? Call out only that header. So if I want to store this in a valid variable, I will now say what? Maybe low equals to, just to save it in a valid what? Data set, so that I can reference it whenever I want it. So let's quickly implement, Let's implement and so copy everything in this cell in your notes. It's a new name, just to represent log.
Okay.
I don't want to spell it full log because it's an inbuilt function. So write your notes. That is for log concepts. So let's quickly look at ilog. Yeah, right. Example of ilog method. Oh, yeah. So if you look at the syntax here, there are two syntax here. One is where you are selecting only what? 0. That is the first column. While here is where you are selecting from column 0 to what? Number 6. Exactly. So let's just go to our data and see how we can. Let's see the kind of question we can answer with this. So data selection, write your notes also. Data selection with ilog method. Data selection with ilog method. So which question are we answering here? So using the new underscore, let me use the sub. I think I have the sub with that time. Sub underscore. Subset, have we? We have subset underscore data. Let me check whether there is data here. The what?
The one on the one.
Sub underscore. Pass it, I mean. Where this stuff. Okay, DA1, yeah. So from this data, let's say we want to use the ilog to select from name to doctor. Want to call them out at once.
Zero here on
Yeah, the name is zero.
Okay.
When items are arranged vertically, the first one is zero. When they are arranged horizontally,
That's zero.
they are already here. Now that is zero now. That's why you can see good. You can see that this first record is not labeled 1. 1 started from what? Record 2. So, but what we are selecting with our lock now is a heading. We want to call out, let's say from this data set, you are asked to call out this down to this. So this will become what? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So here will now be, so it will now be dot ilog select column, then comma, then 0 to no, you don't have comma. That is you are selecting range. So if you run it now to give you can see that what is stopped at what? Admission 6. Do you understand it now? So if I put 7 here, it will include what? Doctor. So this is another way you can select multiple. Remember that this was what we did the other time using something like this. Please pay attention. Using something like this. Using something like this. That will now use 2 brackets. We are now quoting each of them. So you can see that with a lock is faster. You just use 0 to just slice them. Good. So let's quickly apply this quickly. So let's quickly look at filtering of data. So there are some concepts of selection that ilog and the log cannot actually do. That is why we are bringing in filtering data as one of the way of selecting data as well. So another powerful feature of pandas is the ability to filter data according to a predefined what? Criteria or what? Threshold. Now, let's look at, so now I want us to look at this example here, so you know what ilog and log and other selection method we have been learning since cannot do. Supposing from that data, look at it. Let's say we want, so we are capturing this data set now, which we are used to, right? So let's say we want only record with what? E-wallets. You cannot use iLog. Everything you are calling from that column, everything you have in the data, right? There is no unique. Now, from this data set now, supposing you are asked that display only female or only male what? Record. You can't use iLog. You cannot use what? Log. And you cannot even use those technical selection methods. I don't know if you are with me. So that is why we are bringing these filtering concepts. So now, this is where we applied it. Let me see. I know there's a place where I define it very well. Good. So copy this as an example. Then we are still going to work with the one we are going to relate with the data set we are working with. So after this very one, we stop here today. Then your assignment is to run all of them again with a different data set. Cannot run what? Why the iLog?
Yeah.
You know, the nature of each function, what that one was created for is not the same thing with this. So this one is another way of data selection, which those one cannot fit in. And this one, in most cases, this one is used most because you can have transaction from different states, right? And then you can say, okay, you want to see only transaction from one of those states. Because what log or iLog, if you are calling horizontal or vertical, it's calling everything. So when you are through writing, let me explain this syntax because it's a bit logical before we go for the application. Can I move? Yeah. Now, let me explain first. You know, all this while, whenever we call a variable, if we want to see the output, we call what? That variable in the next line, right? But that's not what you have here. Have you noticed that? Look at what you have here. You are not selecting what you have with those selection methods we have learned. Now, look up. This fits is not a function, it's a variable name. This LP represents your data set, like that subset, DA1, right? Now, this payment is the header where the criteria for the selection is. Payment, that is where you have record, e-wallet, cash. Are you getting it now? Now, when you now come to where you want to bring them out, only those ones, you now say from the data set, bring out this, which means that what? At this level here, this code has assembled all the what? E-wallet record and store them in what? In this, but they are still in what? LP data. Just like they are in a particular segment. So now you pulling them out. That is why you are not calling that data first and then using the name that is using or the name that is storing them in that word data frame. I don't know if you understand it. You will understand it here better now. You will understand it here. Let's relate it to a live data. So you will still copy this one. So what are we doing here? Data what? Data filtering. So what is the tax here? The tax here from sub what? Please help me with that name again. Sub subset underscore DA1. I mean, DA1. Let me look at it here. From subset DA1, from subset DA1, from subset DA1, this is right? Okay, from subset DA1, displays or select only male record. For example, now, select only male record. That is what the company wants to see. So what is the syntax? I'll give it a name. I will now give it a name that explains the kind of record I'm picking. Male, right? Equals to from what? Sub what? Subset underscore what? DA1, right? Dot the header with the male, which is what? Gender. I believe this is how it's typed. Gender. Okay, let's check it. That is it, right? Gender. From gender, that is what where gender is equals to. I have told you before that what 2 equal sign means what? Equality. 1 means assignment, right? Then is a string you want to collect. The way the name is mentioned, female is spelled what? Full, right? With first letter what? Capital letter, right? Now with this, if you run this, look up, if you run this, if I execute it at this level, it means that at the moment, all the male record have been selected and stored in what? Male variable. Now to bring them out from subset underscore what? DA1, I will now say what? Subset underscore what? DA1, that is what? From subset DA1, bring out what? Only male, which is your variable name. Right. Then once you run it, you get the results. You check under that header whether you have only male. That is how you know that what? You have succeeded. So we can do it for here under medical condition where we want to select what? Please, I would like to do this one so that you understand something. Pay attention. Pay attention. So if I'm doing for this, just a minute. Are they classy? Are you with me? Now, so I want to answer another question here. And the reason is for me to show you how you can work with where the header is 2 words instead of just 1. How will you select it? So if I want to have it here, so let me just copy this to make my work. Or I can even do it. So let me say, from this medical, the question is that what? From the medical condition, you want to see only opacity, right? So which means I will say, for example, opacity. I will say what? Opacity. Let me do it here so that when you want to write it will be different. Opacity. Is it obesity or obesity? Yeah. Obesity, right? Yeah. Obesity is equals to the data set itself is still what? Subset underscore DA1, right? Dot. Now, if you now copy the header where you have that value you want to select, is what? Medical what? Condition. Now, look up. If you put it like this, there will be an issue because of no underscore. Remember this issue now, right? So when you have it like this, there was a concept that I show us. This is what you do. So you now do something like this. You not use the option of the dot again. You use this option. Remember we did something like this the other time, right? You will use this option. Then after that is what from this, you will now. So what will you select now? That is from this, select this, right? Where is what? Equals to, right? Obesity. I don't know whether the first letter is capital letter. Okay, let me just copy from here to save my time. So here, I will just put this here. Then I will run it. Accepted. Now to view it, what do I do? Do you want to tell me what to do here? Subsets underscore DA1. Select what? Obesity. So you go to that header and check whether that is what you have there. Good, perfect. Exactly. So let's quickly write this syntax before we call it a day. Copy everything you have in this cell. Once you are through, let me know so that you can copy the other one. Then that is where we stop. So your assignment is to create a new, or maybe create a new notebook and then continue working with all these functions.